We've all got them. People in our lives who just push our buttons, test our patience, and frankly, make things difficult. But what if those frustrating relationships aren't just random bad luck? In this explainer, we're going to dive into a really unique spiritual take from our source material that completely reframes these challenging people not as roadblocks, but as a crucial part of our own journey. So let's dive in.
Okay, right now, I want you to do something for me. Bring one person to mind. Who is it that gives you the most trouble? That one person who just gets under your skin. Got him? Good. Now hold that person in your mind as we go through this, because this perspective, it might just change everything about how you see them.
Here's the core idea we're going to explore. What if that person's presence in your life is no accident at all? What if it's a deliberate, meaningful piece of a much bigger puzzle, designed specifically for your growth? It's a pretty radical thought, isn't it? But let's see where it takes us.
To really wrap our heads around this, our source material asks us to first zoom way, way out. Let's forget the day-to-day frustrations for a minute and look at the grand cosmic picture. We're going to start with this really powerful metaphor, the tree of souls.
Imagine the entire universe of souls as one single enormous tree. Now, on the surface, we all look like individual leaves, right? Separate, unique, doing our own thing. But if you trace us back, we all come from the same branches, the same trunk, the same one source of life. We're all connected. And this is where the source completely redefines the term soulmate. So I want you to forget the Hollywood finding the one version for a second. In this view, your soulmates are your spiritual family, a whole cluster of souls that grew from the same little branch on that giant tree. This includes your parents, your best friends, and, get this, even your most difficult coworkers.
Okay, so if we're all connected, why is there so much conflict? Why all the drama? Well, this brings us to our second key metaphor from the source, the idea that we carry a kind of spiritual homework with us into this life. Let's call it your problem set.
All right, now here is probably the most challenging idea of them all. The source suggests that the person who causes you the most intense frustration, the most gut-wrenching conflict, is very likely one of your closest soulmates. The friction you feel isn't a sign of a weak connection. It's a sign of a deep, ancient, and unresolved one.
So this is your problem set. It's the unfinished business, the emotional baggage, the karmic knots you didn't untie in a previous existence with another soul. And you're born with this specific set of challenges not as some kind of punishment, but more like a curriculum for your soul's evolution. Let's make this a little more concrete. The source gives an example, like this. Imagine two people in a past life, let's say a parent and child, who parted ways with a lot of resentment and anger. Well, their souls still need to resolve that energy. So in this life, they might come back as, say, a micromanaging boss and a resentful employee forced to deal with each other every single day. The stage has changed, but the core problem, it's still there, waiting for a solution. Okay, so if we're all walking around with these problem sets, how on earth do we solve them? The source material is crystal clear on this. The answer is not found by trying to change the other person. The key is actually much, much closer to home. And there it is. That's the crucial piece of the puzzle. The entire point of this spiritual exercise is internal. The real work isn't about fixing them or winning the argument or proving you were right all along. It's about looking inward and understanding your own reaction to them. This is what's called the mirror dynamic. That person's actions, their words, whatever it is that triggers you, are really just reflecting back the parts of yourself that are wounded or unresolved or just crying out for attention. They aren't the source of the problem. They are the spotlight showing you where the problem is inside of you. Now we have to pause right here because this way of thinking can be twisted and misinterpreted in a really dangerous way. So it's absolutely vital that we address this critical nuance.
This is the most important question of all. Does this philosophy mean you should just passively accept harmful or abusive treatment? That you're supposed to just learn your lesson and stay in a bad situation?
Absolutely not. And the source material is emphatic about this. The goal is never to just sit there and endure harm. The real question is an active one. What is this problem set trying to teach your soul to do? The lesson is in the action you choose to take.
You see, for one soul, the lesson might actually be about forgiveness. But for another soul, the lesson might be learning how to build strong boundaries for the very first time. For someone else, it could be finding the courage to finally walk away from a toxic situation with your head held high, or even learning to stand up and fight for yourself. The lesson is always tailored to what your soul needs to learn next.
So let's see how this perspective keeps building.
It doesn't just stop with our personal relationships. It actually extends to every kind of conflict, including our professional rivals and competitors.
Remember that big tree of souls? Wow, that rival company, that competitor you're always trying to one-up. According to this viewpoint, they are also leaves from a branch right next to yours. They are a part of your soul family, and they are playing a very specific role in your development. I just love this reframing. Your rival isn't your enemy. They're your soul's personal trainer. They're the one in the gym with you, pushing you, forcing you to be faster, smarter, and stronger. By constantly challenging you, they help you build a kind of spiritual muscle you could never, ever develop on your own.
So the ultimate goal isn't to crush the competition, it's to transform it. The source uses this beautiful Japanese concept called sesitakama, which basically means mutual polishing, like two gems grinding against each other, making each other more brilliant. It's a kind of rivalry where both sides actually push each other to become the absolute best versions of themselves.
And that brings us right back to where we started. Back to that person you thought of at the very beginning. If we just accept this framework, even for a moment, then that person isn't your problem. They're your most dedicated, most powerful teacher. And the only question left is, what exactly are they trying to teach you?